So this is like a pump house for Deer Creek Dam over here, and this is like the outhouse where you come and park for that trailhead. What I'm going to show you, there's the railroad, and I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff that looks like what you're seeing over here, where they all sizzled right down to the ground, like this. There used to be a plant right there that sizzled, as you can see, down to nothingness, and it's like that all over here. You can see that was a branch, that was a branch, and these are all still connected into the ground. Can't pull that one, can't pull that one. These are all still highly connected directly into the ground, and you can see they've got all the signature. And I'm going to show you how. I'll show you a bunch of this stuff where the bark peels off the tree. The bark peels off the tree on a lot of these. I'll show you like this one here. And then when they sizzled down to a stub, you can see this one got almost all the way. That was a full tree, that big around. It sizzled it to the stub and almost all the way off. This also has the spiked forest motif. Notice this little piece right here. How it's burned on one side and not the other. Maybe if I can. You can see it's burned on this side, but not on that side. Fire don't do that. Anyway, moving along. I'm going to show you around. This is all right above Deer Creek. You see that great big one on the ground, front and center of the screen? Those were two great big trees that sizzled. Again, they did not burn, they sizzled. There was no combustion, or there wouldn't be all these leaves. So everything you see here burned without flame. Once you see it, the burn signatures like this, next to this, next to that, look nothing like fire. But if you don't know what you're looking at, it's forest fire. So I'll get you a little closer, but just so you can see from this vantage point, the missing bark on all the trees is a giveaway when you're looking at it from afar. And you see that stripped bark. This is that same grove of trees right up above where we just were. All the stripped bark, and leading up to it, you can see all the places where there once was a tree. Here, 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 here. They're kind of hard to see until you know what you're looking at. Those are all just trees that sizzled down to the nub. The spiked motif, this is what happened all around Spanish Fork, where everything burned to a spike. Here, 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 and even the little one burns all of them to a spike. Here, here, everything turns into a spike. Why? It's just part of the way that it burns from the inside out and sizzles it down and hones the end of it to a point everywhere. So as you're walking through, don't trip. You might not get back up because there's little things looking to trip you with one foot and then impale you with the other. See the burn line here on the wood? Okay, moving on. All along here, the whole floor is littered. Here, here, there, all over, right here. So this all used to be covered with bushes, but it sporadically burned, leaving all the leaves. Again, combustion, synthesis. Nothing actually lit on fire. It sizzled and smoked, just like when you pull your toast out of the toaster and it's all black. It didn't catch fire, it didn't flame. Same thing here, nothing caught fire, nothing combusted. That's why all the leaves on the very trees that burned. And when they burn, I'm just pointing these out because it's almost hard to even notice how much is missing from this hillside and how many of these little stubs there are all along the mountain. So there's one. This was a big one. 1, 2, 3. This one. Here was one. They litter the whole mountain. Where there once was a pretty sizable plant, just giving you my hand in there for size reference, is now reduced to just a couple of black spots sticking out of the dirt. Like that. It's still hooked into the ground. You can't pull it. Ouch. But again, it's all, even that's hooked into the ground. So everything that was here sizzled away, and you almost don't even see that it was here. And once you start to see these little things all over, you realize what happened. Looks like this one is connected to that one. And the root system made sure they all burned from within. So underneath, the root system is connecting them all. That's part of the way we know that is because fire doesn't leave inconsistent burn patterns. It burns evenly over the surface. See how they litter the ground everywhere? Big one right there we're gonna go check out. Here's that big one that I just pointed out from back there. Again, all these are stuck into the ground. The inconsistent burn pattern. And just to show you where we are, because we got a good view of it now, that's Deer Creek Reservoir. That's the freeway going up Provo Canyon. That's the directed energy weapon that covers the whole mountainside that no one notices as they drive by. So this is the center, and it had quite a few offshoots, but everything here is still stuck into the ground, and it was one giant tree, bush, thing. Okay, we're gonna move our way up and see those trees over there that have all their bark missing. And we're headed there next. Just to show you the scattered remnants of what was. Sticking up everywhere. As we go through here, notice the blackened soil. I don't think the lighting's working very well, but around the base of these bushes, wherever there's a clump of bushes, there's a blackened ring of soil around the bottom that matches the root system below the trees. And that root system is working as conductors of the electricity. Up there again, notice the rings of darkened soil around the base, all of the missing bark on the trees. So you can just assume that what I'm about to show you a little closer right here is just replicated in each one of these groves. The darkened soil here is because the trees that are in the middle. Over here where there's no trees, there's no darkened soil. Over here where there's a few trees, there's a little bit of darkened soil. Over here where there's a few trees, there's more darkened soil. There's only darkened soil beneath where the trees are because it actually burned the soil. It's that microwaving of the metal particles that are within the soil. And I'll show you on one of my upcoming videos where you can scrub this black wood and watch the nanoparticles come out like glitter. That is what acts as the conductor of the electricity, I suppose. Notice the spikes everywhere. It's just a shotgun, libtards. Don't get scared. It's not going to get you through the camera. A couple guys shooting some birds in the background, that's all. So this is one of those pictures that a 5-year-old could probably tell you, what's wrong with this picture? All the unburnt in the middle of the burnt stuff. That defies logic and reason. And kids are actually given those kind of a test in school. Can you see what's wrong with this picture? And it is there to defy logic or reason and get you to develop and cultivate your common sense. So, do we need to call our local 5-year-old, call up the preschool and ask him to come help us with this? There's the spike thing I'm talking about. Everywhere you go, they're looking to poke you. Okay, let's go check out this other grove. Uh-oh. It looks from here like they haven't replaced those telephone poles and they're gonna have the signature. Let's go check that out. But on my way over, I just want to point out that that was a tree that never caught fire, but it sizzled right down to the base. And this is what all the branches look like. Burnt on the inside, unburnt on the outside, because that's how the electricity travels through. All right, let's go. We'll check this one out on the way, because it's got an interesting combination of all the signatures. The unburned piece in the middle like literally, that is pure unburned wood, totally white. A few speckles of burn here and there, fact, this looks like a keeper. Yeah, that's pretty weird looking. So you've got the white unburned wood, but it is like bleached white. Here, it's unburned on this side, totally burnt out on this side. This is very common. And so is the focus issue. But there we go. My point is, I'll show you some that I've got at home like this, where it's burnt out on this side, unburnt on that side, and I've got like 5 or 6 of these that grew together, and all of them are only burnt on one side. They're all 6 inches from each other. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all 5 of them are the exact same shape as this. Unburnt on one side, completely hollowed out on the core of the other side. And all of them, that's the weird thing. This started out as a round branch, just like those in my kitchen I'm gonna show you. This didn't start out looking like a reed. This started out as a regular round branch. And then the burn starts here and reduces it to something that looks like about the shape of a reed that grows in water as it grows smaller and smaller toward the top. I have some of these sitting at home at my house. This would be kind of a cool one to pluck though. And I think the reason it does that is the golden ratio mean by which this burns. It makes things come to the same shape by which they were grown. The golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, is the number by which lightning forks and rivers branch and trees branch. And I think that's why this ends up turning this into the same shape as that which a reed grows, because it kind of burns it by a reverse process of the growth process using the same numerical sequence. So you'll see what I've determined, like now this one would be cool because of the burn. The burn goes like this and waves up and down, and there's a concaved out surface in the middle of the branch, but it left the edges untouched. So you take it home, you peel that bark, you wash it a little bit, you spray lacquer on it, and you've got something that makes people really go, what? And from that point, you can't buy or give knowledge to someone, except in this case you can, because they can't hold one of these things without starting to let the synapses fire. And in that way, you can give knowledge to people, even to people who refuse to accept it. You pluck it up, you wash it off, you lacquer it down. And it turns out to have some of the coolest stain and wood design patterns that no one's ever even seen. It's eye-catching, it's stunning, it's mesmerizing. When you stare into it, you almost just continue staring, because it makes the grain come out in ways that it never has before. You see how burnt out this is on the inside? My finger's in there now. Pluck off some of this. In fact, this piece would be really cool. I just picked a little bit of bark off here, and I notice it's the same all over here. You can see the unburn here, 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 here. If you look, this piece kind of curves back and under. It's unburned on the underside, but highly burnt on this side. The wavy, curvy, unburned lines on these, once you pull it out and wash it up, would just be mind-boggling. See this piece, how it kind of curves like this out and to the left? Out and to the left right there. Unburned on the back. Completely hollowed out in the front, and a fine line where it goes from burn to unburn. This line goes here. This line goes here. Unburnt here and here, completely hollowed out in the middle. Some of the weirdest looking wood you've ever seen. Once it's processed. Again, this one, I can tell that because it's burnt out, hollowed on this side, it'll be unburned on the back side over here. I don't even have to go look, I can tell you already, because the way it weirdly burns. So I'll finish my thought. There's a thing called pareidolia, where you see in the clouds, you see animal shapes, but the thing is, you never see airplane shapes, helicopter shapes, building shapes. All you ever see in the clouds through pareidolia. These days you see a lot of triangles, but I digress. Pareidolia, you see shapes of animals and natural shapes of trees and flowers because the clouds are being formed by the same processes that a river flows, that lightning strikes. It's that golden mean ratio that forms some of the same curvatures that makes it look like an animal or a plant. Okay, I don't even have light because the battery died. So I'm going to just trust in the force. And then you can see it's burnt on the right, I'm burnt on the left, on all three of these poles. They all three have the same exact matching burn pattern that makes it unquestionably directed energy weapons we're talking about here. And if this video don't come out right, hold on, I'll have to come back because this is the absolute 100% proof. And when you see less definitive proof elsewhere, but all the same general patterns, you know that what we're dealing with here is not fire. You can see the same bubbling out of the oil that comes out of the telephone poles back in Springville, Park City, all the other cities. Now that you see that bubbling out of the oil around the bottom, but you see a 100% positive pattern that shows you that wasn't just a 100-degree summer. That was the intense energy coming out of the ground when the plasma-powered directed energy weapons drop down here in Utah. Just about everywhere here in Utah, it's starting to seem, now that I'm, looking around. So, I guess we'll call that a wrap. That is the combustion synthesis Heber. Nope, this is the Deer Creek episode. We already did Heber. And since I can't see through the lens, I'm gonna have trouble even finding the stop button.